Good afternoon, everyone, from the Orlando Cricket Ground in Groveland, Florida. It's the 2025 Minor League Cricket Championship. We have a Southern Division matchup as the Atlanta Lightning, looking to keep pace with their their cross-town rivals, the Atlanta Fire, for first place in the division, take on the Fort Lauderdale Lions, who are looking for their first victory of the season at 0-3. My name is Brian Barish. Great to have you along as always as we continue with round two of the season so far. It's been great matches across the country, and this should be an intriguing matchup. As we said, the Lightning 2-1 coming into this game, a game and a half out of first behind the Fire, and the Lions trying to get themselves off the carpet as they saw their cross-state rivals Orlando drop their fourth in a row to start the season. The news from the middle of the ground is that the Lions have won the toss. They have elected to bat. The weather today is hot. It is currently 90 degrees Fahrenheit. There are some rain showers in the area to the west of Orlando. We're hoping that they will evade us so that we can get the regulation 40 overs in. The lineups as the two umpires are headed out to the ground. The umpires in the middle, David Maitland and Judson Edwards, they're headed out to the middle of the ground. Now, here is a look at the 11s for the Fort Lauderdale Lions. They have two changes to their lineup. As we bring it up here and tell you that in goes Southwick Padibandla and Shubham Singar are both in the lineup as Mohib Siddiqui and Shunak Marathe give way. The rest of the lineup for the Lions includes Arnab Mishra, Atish Gawan, Elton Tucker Jr., Mohib Siddiqui, Mohib Siddiqui is in the lineup. It's Harry Kiran Ediga who is out. Mario Rampersad, Nahol Ashok, Katakand, Rashesh Behera, the captain, Ronak Sharma, and Vinit Tagarsi. As for the Atlanta Lightning, with Captain Monank Patel, who's having a fantastic season so far, Nicholas Manohar, Jordan Warner, Mark Parchment, Mark Dayal, Soeb Tal, Heath Richards, Amila Aponzo, Fanny Simhadri, Vivek Kanamuri, and Dawood Azim, as you see the Lightning in their yellow and blue jerseys heading out into the field. And it'll be interesting to see how the Lions cope with this fantastic bowling attack. Two of the top five bowlers in minor league cricket, as Fani Simhadri at the top of the heap with 92, and Amila Aponso, who currently sits fifth all time. We heard Ryan in the last match. If you happen to catch the Atlanta Lightning's victory over the Orlando Galaxy, we happen to mention that this is the first weekend, the grand opening, and it's been a long time coming for this ground in Groveland, Florida. It was scheduled to open last year, but due to a couple of hurricanes, that was pushed back, and the Galaxy finally have a ground to call their own. And with the Fort Lauderdale Lions not playing any games at Central Broward this year, this is a bit of a home away from home from them. Arnab Mishra and Mario Rampersad, the former Philadelphian and the former East Bay Blazer, is out there alongside Mishra, and it's Soab Tai who will administer the first heartbeat to this game. Defensive shot played by Mishra. There's no run, and we're underway here in Orlando. This is the 10th scheduled match between the two sides. Second ball of the over is dabbed towards third man, and the fielder will come all the way around. They're going to come back for two and come back easily. So Mario Rampersad gets a couple of runs to get his team off the mark. The Lightning have won 5 of the 7 completed matches, including their last game, which was last Sunday when they defeated the Lions by 8 wickets with plenty of room to spare. As Ty doesn't let go of the ball, so the umpire does the washout signal and will try again. Ronak Sharma, 47 runs in defeat for the Lions. As Rapperad again tries to cut away, but right to a fielder. Mayank Patel, 69 not out in that victory last Sunday. And Mark Dayal, 4 from 7, as he has come across from the East Bay Blazers and provided another piece to the bowling attack for the men in yellow and blue. Fourth ball of the over, defended into the ground again, right again to the drawn-in infield. So good bowling by Soeb Ty. This time turn to the onside, and Rapperad will take a single, and that'll bring Mishra back. That'll bring Mishra to the strike for the first time. It was Rapperad who started. Ty last season in 8 matches took 13 wickets. And his best figures 3 for 20. And he bowled once. That was on Sunday, or last Saturday, and took a wicket to start his season. Final ball of the first over. Defensive shot just inside, and Ty is not sure how that didn't find either of the bails or the stumps on the way through. First over complete. The Lions won the toss, elected to bat. They're 3 for none. So just underway, lots of matches across minor league cricket today. As you see the hill, a couple of cars parked up on the lot. Reminds me a little bit of Exton Park in Philadelphia a little bit, where they didn't have cars on the lot there. They had a little bit behind, but remember them on numerous occasions that they had spectators parked as Mila Aponzo is given the ball. Aponzo, as we said, currently sitting 5th all-time in wickets in minor league cricket with 73. And so far this season has just 2 wickets. As the pace bowler comes in and the left-hander Rapperad guides it away, no run. The Lions on this ground there with the hot conditions and on this pitch are going to hope to take advantage of it, perhaps to catch the Lightning bowlers unawares, as this one is turned to the onside. It gets by the fielder, a bit of a misfielder there. And the ball just under the man, and Mario Rapperad has his first boundary. That was Heath Richards, who looked like Keith Richards on that one, just absolutely flat out. And so Rapperad goes to 7. Third ball of the over. Again, tried to cut it away, but just under the bat. Good comeback by Aponzo. Over the wicket again he comes. Again, Rapperad is eager to just cut this ball away. There's a long chase. He stopped it momentarily, but the momentum of the ball carries it over the rope. And it's a second boundary for Mario Rapperad. Wicketkeeper extraordinaire, again, cutting it through. They have no man in the outfield there in this power play. It's a slight uphill run, too. And a good effort to try and keep the ball in play, but no dice, and Rapperad is in double figures. He has all the runs so far after 10 balls of play. This time he dabs it through. The ball goes to third man. And him and Mishra come through for the run, and Mishra will take the strike with Rapperad on 12 and a ball to come here in the second. Again, if you're new to cricket, this is the first 6 overs. The first 6 sets of 6 balls are called the power play. There was a 35-yard diameter circle around the wicket, which is where all the action happens. And in the first 6 overs, only 2 defensive players can be outside of that. So that's why Rapperad is cutting the ball away. Now, if he can cut it through the infield, he can run a while. Final ball of the over, chopped down, and Rapperad started to move forward. But that'll do it. 9 runs, including a couple of boundaries for the Lions. They're off to a decent start at a run of ball at the end of 2. They're 12 without loss. Well, the Lions in their history here in minor league cricket they've been in the second division of this Southern Division, or at least in the second half of it. The bottom half of it is Sohaib will come back in to continue from the north end. And this one just beats the bat of Mishra, who was still trying to get off the mark on his third ball. They've only made it to the postseason, and that was in 2023 when they qualified for the wild card and lost to Atlanta Fire in the playoff. Cut away again by Rapperad, who kept the strike. And I think the Lions will be very happy to keep Mario Rapperad on strike as much as he can. He turns this one towards square, and he'll beam the ball back in, and they'll take a run. Now it'll be Mishra who comes to strike, as Rapperad has done all the talking on the scoreboard so far. He's 13 from 13. And we'll talk about Mario Rapperad in just a moment. Right now it's all about Mishra. And Arnab Risha tries to cut it away, but it goes right to a fielder. Good defending by the Lightning. Mario Rapperad, 32 years of age, originally from Barbados. Mishra goes for the sweep, but doesn't come off as it hits the top end of the bat. Another dot ball for Ty, who is bowling well, just 4 runs off 11 overs. As we said, played for the Philadelphians and the East Bay Blazers, was a key part of the Philadelphians for a time. This is his 35th match. Final ball of the second over comes in and went to drive the ball along. And in fact, I think he's gone. In fact, he is. I believe he's been stumped. We'll check in a moment. But Mishra has gone for a duck, and Ty has a wicket. So, not the start the Lions wanted. Rapperad is going well, but Mishra will have to go. And the Lions at the end of 3 are 13 for 1. Well, Arnab Risha never looked comfortable in the crease. And Connor Murray gets the stumping. And a big early power play wicket halfway through it for Vivek Katamuri. A big breakthrough, and now it'll be Raunak Sharma, the captain. And Sharma, who played for the Baltimore Royals a season ago, played in just 5 matches total, including 1 in the Super 8 portion. He has scored 52 runs all of last season, and he cuts this one away, but right to an infielder as the 4th over starts. And so far, in 3 matches this season, he has 22, and his 47 so far is his highest score in minor league cricket. That was in the first game between the teams last Saturday. So we have a minor delay in the action here, and the 2 umpires will talk it over. And just trying to confirm, I believe Amila Aponzo is continuing from the south end. As we said, a lot of matches happening around minor league cricket today. We hope you'll get a chance to watch some of the other ones as well. Most of them in the Central and the West, as Rapperad and Sharma will talk for a moment. We'll tell you that the Chicago Tigers are taking on the Michigan Cricket Stars in Chicago. And the Tigers put up a score of 162, and the Cricket Stars have 2 overs to chase down 15 more runs. As this is Mark Dayal, the longtime East Bay Blazer, and Rapperad pulls this one to the onside. It's all along the carpet. Another run for Mario. And Ronak Sharma will come to the strike. So good bowling by the Lightning so far. Once again, you see that's a good sized crowd that's assembled here in Orlando, not only for their hometown Orlando Galaxy, who fell to the Atlanta Fire earlier today, but for these 2 teams as well. As the ball comes in, this one is chipped in the air. There's nobody out there, and we'll go all the way for a boundary. So 4 runs for Ronak Sharma, who's on the board. And Fort Lauderdale go to 18 for 1. As they wall right-hander over the wicket, and it was a Yorker length delivery and swatted at nicely by Ronak Sharma. So they go to 18. Penultimate ball is dabbed to the onside. Right to square, and they'll come through for a single, and that'll bring Rapperad back up to face the final ball. Dayal in bowling for East Bay Blazers. As he comes in, this one is more of a length delivery that Rapperad has to defend, and that ends the 4th over. Dayal comes in, gives up 6. Fort Lauderdale struggling along slightly after winning the toss and electing the bat. They're 47 for 5. So Soeb Tai will continue from the northern end. And Ronak Sharma is in the face, guides this one away, but not far enough to score. Tai 1 for 4 after now 13 balls. We started to talk about Mark Dayal, and his statistics are kind of scattered all over the place. As this one is dabbed down to the onside, and Sharma will take 1. The ball slows down in the outfield. They may have come back for a second. In fact, they have. Or Sharma, rather, they only took the 1. So 20 for 1. You see the run rate. And we saw what happened in the first game where Atlanta won with 134 runs. This one is turned to the onside again, hit the square leg, and Rapperad and Sharma content to take a single. there is one other game in the South Division happening, and that is the other two teams, the two that are in Morrisville, North Carolina. As the Raptors will play the Baltimore Royals, as Sharma loads up and didn't get all of it at all, but he got enough to where it didn't go through to the stumps. But good bowling by Ty, who is being a stalwart in this north end. Defensive play, and Ty was saying that it had hit the pad, but the umpire says no. Soeb Ty, born in India, born on Christmas Day of 1989. Played for Baroda back home, as this one is dabbed down to the offside to point, and it's a run for Sharma, who will keep the strike. And after 5 overs, with Mario Rapperad on one side with 15 and Ronak Sharma on the other with 7, the Fort Lauderdale Lions are 22 for 1. Well, we've mentioned the weather. It is a hot day in Central Florida, and most days in Central Florida are hot. And we talked about how there was a fair bit of cloud cover, and you could see it on some of the wide shots here at the OCG. You can see the the sunlight bouncing, gleaming off of some of the windshields in the background there. And we mentioned there is rain in the area, but we're hoping that that won't affect the first matches of the season here in Florida. And didn't affect the first inning. I'm sure the players will feel it. The real feel is about 5 degrees warmer than the air temperature. The Lions tomorrow will face the Atlanta Fire, and the Lightning will take on the Orlando Galaxy, as the two will switch dance partners. As Rapperad stands in for the first ball of the 6th over. And this one is guided away to the offside. Rapperad takes one, thinking about a second. As Fani Simhadri, who needs 8 wickets to bring up his century. It was Sharma who kept that, so Sharma goes to 8. Fani Simhadri, Bangladeshi national team, or Bangladeshi product, who set the world on fire when he was with the Seattle Thunderbolts. That one is a bouncer into the ground and almost caught, went through the fielder, and will trickle all the way to the fence for 4. That would seem to stick in Fani's hand, it seemed like, as it looked like he bounced that straight into the ground. It may have bounced on his side. He was hoping for somebody to be out there, but it went through the infield cordon. And Mario Rapperad has his 3rd boundary, so 27 for 1. And this time, Rapperad cuts it away. Sweeper there to come around. Wayward throw to the infield, but Rapperad on 20. Rapperad 20 from 20. Sharma 8 from 8. So each of them going at a 100 strike rate. And cut away by Ronak Sharma. And stopped in the covers. 2 more balls to come. The run rate not quite at a run a ball. That's at 5.1. And when Atlanta Fire started things off in their game, they finished at 134. So 2 balls and over. This one is cut away by Mario Rapperad. And it's been caught. And that is the end of Mario Rapperad. So he has to go, and Fanny Simhadri picks up his 93rd wicket in minor league cricket. The little master ends the bleeding as Mario Rapperad has to walk on back. One ball short of the power play. And the Lions are now 29 for 2. Fanny Simhadri doing a magnificent job. And finally, the one miscue that he had, as the power play has in fact come to an end, that was the last ball of the over. And Ronak Sharma just looking at the umpire there, but here it is again. It was a good length delivery, but he holes out, didn't get all of it, and a good job, the man in the slips, just at the back end of the slip cordon. And that's the end of Mario Rapperad on this day, as Mark Parchment was there to take a simple catch. He was placed in the right spot. And a good job of placement by Captain Manak Patel. So 29 for 2, and now the fielding restrictions have been lifted, and it will be Mohib Siddiqui who will come in. And Siddiqui, who did a fantastic job on opening night for the Lions to keep the Morrisville Raptors at bay. The Lions, of course, to start the season, took the Morrisville Raptors all the way to a super over before falling. As Dayal comes in, and that is given as a wide as it went behind Ronak Sharma, who's taken the helmet off. So first extra surrendered by Atlanta Lightning Bowling. See the umpire waiting for the signal from the 10th that they receive the message. Dayal again. Fuller ball, defended by Sharma. No run. Look at how the Lions have done so far this season. As we said, they are 0-3 so far, but they haven't played badly at all by any stretch of the imagination. They've fought well, as this one is turned off the top of the shoelaces by Ronak Sharma. They'll take a single. Sharma now on to double digits. He's 10 from 11. The opening game was that super over where the teams tied with 132 runs each, and the Lions, thanks to Siddiqui, were able to get a 4 off the final ball to force it, but ended up coming up short. As we mentioned, the last time these two teams met was on Sunday. Last Sunday, the Lightning winning by 8 wickets, chasing down a target of 127 and doing so with just under 7 overs to spare. And then the Lions falling to the fire by 9 wickets. Fuller ball, dab to the offside, no run. Good job to come over and grab it by Kano Murray. By Manak Patel, who is there in the slipped cordon. It's a cordon of 1. Siddiqui tries to push it away, but can't. Turn 1 ball remaining or 2 balls remaining rather in the 7th over. Atlanta Fire defeating the Lions by 9 wickets, as 122 for 1 was their final score. Big swing, at least a little half-hearted chop at the ball. Sharma gives it a thumbs up. He knew that was a tough delivery. And Mark Dayal One ball away from closing out another good over. Round the wicket he comes, driven into the ground. There is no run. A wide, a single. That's it. That's all the Lions get off the 7th over. They are 31 for 2. We mentioned at the top the standings in the Southern Division. Atlanta Fire top of the heap with 4-0. And the Baltimore Royals, as we said, who play tonight against the Morrisville Raptors. That's a 6 p.m. start in Morrisville. They're 2-0. They're on 4 points. The Atlanta Lightning at 2-1. They are a game and a half out of first place and a half game behind the Baltimore Royals. They're even on points, but the Lightning have a game in hand. They also have one loss. Then the Raptors at 1-1. The Lions at 0-3 and the Galaxy 0-4. We'll see the Galaxy tomorrow as Azim comes in. Left armor around the wicket, and Rohit Sharma greets him with a single to cover. Dawood Azim played one match last season for the Lightning. Also played in the U21 tournament for Atlanta Lightning back in May. Length of a ball, and Siddiqui will push this one to the offside. And he's off the mark, 33 for 2. A lot of good young players across all the teams, and we saw a few of them in a couple of juniors tournaments in May and then in June as well. This one is turned to the onside, and Ronak Sharma will take another single. We haven't had the opportunity, have the Lions to open up a bit on this ground, and so it's been really offering a lot for the bowlers, especially the guys who have a lot of turn to it. As Siddiqui tries to open up, and he fists this one to the offside. Another run. You're taking the score along, and that'll make the run rate creep up, especially when you're only at 4.5 and over. I feel like a good score on this wicket. I feel like a winning score on this wicket may be, well, again, we saw the Fire defend 134 in the last game. Sharma this time opens up and slaps the ball to the onside. Fielder comes around, puts a stop to that one. Yet another single. A lot of straight numbers on there. All ones so far. Final ball of the over comes in, pulled to the onside, and again will be stopped in the deep. So they're able to pierce the infield, are the Fort Lauderdale Lions, but ever since Mario Rapperad went, they really haven't been able to get anything more out of this wicket. The Lightning seem to be doing so at the end of 8. The Fort Lauderdale Lions are 37 for 2. Well, we mentioned how the Lions have done so far this season. The Lightning, on opening night, defeated the Orlando Galaxy. That was last Friday, chasing down a target of 158 to win by 7 wickets, and to do so with 3 overs left to spare, as Mark Dayal will continue from the north end. The Lightning then were bowled out for 85, trying to chase down Baltimore. They won by 53 runs. And then the Lightning, their last game was that victory against Fort Lauderdale, as Dayal is in and Siddiqui cuts this one away. They'll take another single. 38 for 2. Not a whole lot of, as we said, not really a whole lot that the Lions can do about this. Ronak Sharma was doing well to at least, he's still at a run of ball at the moment. Siddiqui really hasn't found his mark yet, and we mentioned Arnab Mishra, who never really looked comfortable in the crease before he was stumped by Canna Murray for a 5-ball duck. Dayal continues. This one hit in the air, hit deep, and there's what we want to see. That's a 6 over the rope, over the fence. And Ronak Sharma hits the first maximum of this Fort Lauderdale innings. Not much turn to it. And Sharma read it well and blasted that all the way out towards Highway 33. I said that was the, this might actually be, that might be the north end, as Dayal is bowling from the south end. Let's get our directions changed. So it should be 42 for 2. 44 for 2, sorry. Dab to the onside. And Sharma takes another single, so he goes to 20. And Dayal, who started well, has been taken for 8 runs off of the 3 balls in this over. Looped in, and a fuller ball off the feet of Mohib Siddiqui. Another run taken. Mohib Siddiqui's played in all sorts of tournaments around the country. As Ronak Sharma drives this one to the offside. We'll take one more. That boundary did help things a bit in terms of the run rate. The projected score at this point is 106. But we've seen teams accelerate when they have nothing to lose in the death overs. Final ball of over number 9 comes in, and Siddiqui, all he can do is defend it to the offside. Well, Dayal had one delivery that he would want back, but the rest were all singles, and it is very craftsman-like efficiency for the Lions. How well it will do for them, we'll find out in some time, but for now, after 9, they're 47 for 2. So one more over until drinks, and Fanny Simhadri gets the ball once again. As we mentioned, Simhadri, this, by the way, his 50th match in minor league cricket. Having played the first 2 seasons with the Seattle Thunderbolts and having led them to the championship in 2022, that magical season for the Thunderbolts where their final 8 games were all must-wins, and they won every single one of them. didn't have a terribly remarkable first campaign. He only took 9 wickets in 9 games, then exploded for 46 in 18, and that includes the playoffs and the grand final, including taking a fifer. And then since coming to Atlanta, as he will continue from the south end. Ball goes on through. And a dot ball. He's took 19 in 2023, so he has 38 wickets so far since coming over in 11, 19, 23 games. And Sharma tries to dab at it. And I calculated it out. Coming into this match, and he has bowled 184 overs now. We'll have to do the calculation, but if you prorate it to how many wickets he would get in a normal 4-over spell, it comes down to 2 wickets for every 4 overs. Simhadri tries to bowl him away. Quick peg at the stumps. And it looks like they took off one of the bails, but Siddiqui had made it back in time with the dive, so Sharma gets a single. 48 for 2 now. And the stat about that 2022 season that really is mind-blowing, we'll see Fani again if the Lions are still batting in the death overs. But that year when he bowled 46, Joe Hickey, who is my colleague out on the West Coast, we'll finish that thought in a moment after this ball, to Siddiqui, who comes across and blasts this one deep. This would be out of any oval in the country. And Mohib Siddiqui gets the double figures in grand fashion. He says, I don't care how many wickets you've taken, Fani. That ball looked absolutely delicious, and it is smacked for a maximum, and the Lions finally bring up their 50 in glorious fashion. Second maximum of the innings for the batting team. And this one was a little aerial. Siddiqui did wait till it hadn't left the ground long, but it was sent over the fence. So first maximum, as we said, only 2 maximums, as Sharma had one earlier. These two, their partnership now up to 25 runs. Just to finish the thought on Siddiqui, Joe Hickey had pointed out that 26, it may have even been more than that. I think it was 28 of his 46 wickets that year were in the death overs. Simhadri goes in a little bit more of a length, and this one is turned by Siddiqui, and this one's going to roll for 4. Back-to-back boundaries for Mohib Siddiqui. And Simhadri, who looked in control, has now surrendered 11 runs, a bouncer, and right it on the fist of Siddiqui, who turns the beat around and sends this one rolling along the ground to fine leg. So 11 runs off of 3 balls. One more until the drinks break. So we mentioned Simhadri. He had 28 wickets in the death overs alone. So in the last 5 overs. That alone, if you just counted that, that would have been enough to win the wicket championship that year. Chipped in the air and safe. And Mohib Siddiqui will keep the strike as they feasted on Fani Simhadri's bowling. In that over, they get 12 more runs, and Siddiqui, who's on 16, Sharma on 22 at the other end. At the drinks break, the Fort Lauderdale Lions are 59 for 2. So here's how we stand after 10 overs. And Arneeb Mishra, who never, as we said, could not get really into the bowling. and came forward and was stumped by Kanumari as Ty picked up the wicket. The Mero Rapperad, who looked like he was going to stay in for some time, he holed out to Mark Parchment for 20 off of 22. And then Ronak Sharma and Mohab Siddiqui, who have come in and added 30 runs to the total. As for the bowling, Sohaib Tai and Fani Simhadri have taken the wickets. Not bad bowling from everybody else. Mila Ponzo has given up 9. Sohaib Tai 1 for 7 in his 3 overs so far. The Lightning doing a pretty good job of, for a while, limiting the score. Although the Lions, the last 2 overs, have really busted out, scoring 22 runs off the last 2 overs so far in the first half of their innings. So plenty of fireworks perhaps on both sides. As we take a look at the standings, you see the table. The Atlanta Fire, as we said at the top, they are 4-0. And as we said, they lead the Baltimore Royals by a full game. The Royals have 2 games in hand. They'll play one, as we said, at 6 o'clock in Morrisville against the Raptors. The Lightning also on 4 points. They're a game and a half. And if they win, they'll be 1 full game behind Atlanta Fire and 2 points behind. The Raptors then at 1-1 with 2 points. They are 2 games back. The Lions right now 3.5 back on 0-3. And then the Galaxy are 0-4. So that is the way. And of course, the top 2 teams from each division will advance to the final weekend. And the Super 8s, which will be once again in Grand Prairie at the stadium there. We know there seems to be some technical issues, so we'll do our best to talk our way through it. As we mentioned, the second of 2 games here today. For those of you who may have missed the first one, the Atlanta Fire went to 4-0 and sent the Orlando Galaxy down to 0-4 with a 27-run victory. As the players are headed back out to the middle of the ground. And once again, Stephen Taylor, after being dismissed for 1 in his first in the last game, after putting up 50 and 70, only got 11. And Atlanta went to 134 for 8 before they bowled out the Galaxy for 97 in the final over. And Sonny Patel and Azim Charania each took 3 wickets. So it looks like we're set to resume. And as you can see, we are having some issues with the feed from Orlando, so stand by. And we're back, and in this 11th over, Sohaib Tai has given up 2 more runs, as both batters in Sharma and Siddiqui have taken a run. So 61 for 2 is the score. Yeah, we'll give a score update as 1 more run has been taken for the Fort Lauderdale Lions. They are 62 for 2 at the end of 11. Ronak Sharma on 23 and Mohib Siddiqui on 18. And we're back as Emilio Ponzo comes in to bowl his second over. And Ronak Sharma takes a run. Siddiqui takes a run. So he goes to 19. 63 for 2. And now Ronak Sharma, the captain, will bat from on the southern side on where the ridge is. And dabbed away to the onside. They'll come through for another single. So Ronak Sharma has been a model of consistency. Both batters have. They're batting at just over at a run a ball +1. So 64 for 2. Ponzo. Again, good job of spin there. The ball turning for him. Another dot ball. Siddiqui waits again on the left side. Turn to the onside. They scamper through for another single. As Heath Richards, who struggled to stop a ball from going over the rope earlier for 4, comes in and fields it. 65 for 2. And Siddiqui drives this one away. Another run taken. Ronak Sharma, they go to 66 for 2 now. And Ponzo, interesting statistic for him. He has, and we'll finish the thought in just a moment, as Siddiqui tries to drive it to the offside, and there is no run. Emilio Ponzo, as they are 66 for 2 after 12. Emilio Ponzo leads minor league cricket with the most dot balls bowled. As of now, he has a 458, and that is the most of anybody. The man in second, Fani Simhadri, who has bowled 423 dot balls. Then you have Sachin Mailavarapu, who is in third on 417. Corney Dry, who up until this season was in the Southern Division in Atlanta, now bowling for the Philadelphians, 412. And then Manoj Acharya of the Manhattan Yorkers rounds out the top 5, who's bowled 383 dot balls. Ponzo is also in a logjam tie for second with the most maiden overs bowled with 7. Raj Nanan, who currently plays for Morrisville and is bowling well for them, is tops with 9. As this one is driven away, they'll take 1, they'll take 2. So 2 more for the Lions. We'll go to 68 for 2 now. And the Lions still, they're at 5.5 runs a ball right now. That will go up a little bit. As this one comes in, big swing, it gets by. And I don't know if he made contact with that. If he did, they will be, if he does, there will be buys, but they come through. So 69 for 2, I believe, is what we have for the score here. As the Gremlins are having their way here in Orlando. Fort Lauderdale Lions trying to pick up their first win of the season. As this one comes in, driven along the ground and right to a fielder. They'll take another run. By my count, that's their 70th run, so believe it's 70 for 2. Ball comes in, and this one is driven to the onside. It's pulled. They'll come over and make the stop. And able to get it back in. Looks like another single was taken. And that was offended to the offside. All right, so we are, as you can see, having technical difficulties down in Orlando. And we're underway again. The Lions, as we begin this 14th over, are 72 for 2. And Siddiqui has gone downtown on Amila Aponso. He says, I don't care where you are on the wickets table, buddy. I brought out my hitting stick. And Siddiqui smashes his second 6. And both he and his captain, Ronak Sharma, are on 28. It's a length ball. This one is hit in the air. Is there a catch? There is. And that's the end of Mohib Siddiqui. They come up 1 run short of a 50 partnership. And Siddiqui has miscued it. And he has to go. So it's the old story, a 6 and a wicket. But that is a big pickup. And Emila Aponso has his 74th minor league cricket wicket. And the Lions are 78 for 3. So a huge, huge wicket there. But a great job by Mohib Siddiqui, who, as we said, dragged his team back into contention against Morrisville on opening night. And he had a fighting innings, 28 for 25. But Mayank Patel, the Atlanta Lightning captain, did well to range back a 49-run partnership, which lasted 7.2 overs. And that comes to an end. And as we said, Aponso now his 74th wicket in minor league cricket. And here's Kataknand, who is in. So Nihal Kataknand in his first season of minor league cricket. Batting from the left side. Aponso now 1 from 19. And Kataknand is bowled by Emila Aponso. He may have played that one onto the stumps, but Aponso has his second in 3 balls, and he says to Nihal Kataknand, "Here's your hat, what you hurry?" And again, not sure if he played that on, but he had an almighty swing. It went under the bat. And Emila Aponso has 2 in 3 balls. And the Fort Lauderdale Lions are 78 for 4. So 78 for 4. And the Fort Lauderdale Lions, who looked like they were starting to accelerate a bit, have fallen back into the doldrums. And now it's Shubham Singh Gar, who is out to face at number 6. And he plays a defensive shot to Emila Aponso, who's given up a couple of long balls, but he's also come back to collect a couple of batters. That one, he had to get up on his tippy toes to play that one away, but Gar is not able to get a run. Great over from Emila Aponso, who takes 2 wickets, giving up just the 6. 14 complete from the OCG. Fort Lauderdale, 78 for 4. So as we mentioned, it's the first weekend that the Orlando Cricket Ground has been used for minor league cricket play. And I must say, it's looking a peach on this warm, humid day here in Florida. And sure it will be hosting more matches, not only this season, but also going forward. And it's also a good spot, as you could see in the other direction, the hill, as the 15th over gets underway, and Ronak Sharma dabs it away to the offside, and he'll take a run. It is Dawood Azim, who is none for 12, entering his third over of play. The field switch, they add another fielder to the offside. Left arm around the wicket, and that one is driven back behind. And it was stopped, and I think it's a catch. It is. And another wicket goes down, and it's another duck as Shubham Singh Gar is sent on his way. It's a wicket for Dawood Azim, his first, and Fort Lauderdale is slowly collapsing like a flan in a cupboard. A looping ball and driven into the slips. It's a thick top edge. And Gar, as they say in Australia, has to Gar. Fani Simhadri with another catch. And Fort Lauderdale Lions 79 for 5 here in the 15th. The Lightning, who have done a very good job. The Lions have tried to poke some holes in this Atlanta Lightning defense, but the Bolts keep on striking. And in at number 7 is Sathwik Paddy Bandla, beg your pardon. Paddy Bandla, one of 2 inclusions into the lineup for Fort Lauderdale. He batted. He was only in 2 games. He had a 5 on Sunday against Atlanta Fire, or on Saturday rather, against Morrisville, and then on Sunday in this game against Atlanta, he had just 3. And this one is in the air. There's a fielder coming in, and he has made a very good catch. And Azim is on a hat trick, and Saib bows to the crowd. Now, I thought he made the catch. He did. Saib Tai comes in, and just like any showman, he had to come forward 3 steps. He slid a little bit as well. So Paddy Bandla goes for a spicy golden duck. And once again, we're on a hat trick. And the Fort Lauderdale Lions are now 79 for 6. And Elton Tucker Jr. will come to the strike. And Tucker, who has, by our calculations, yet to face a ball for the Lions. And this is second match now. Was not called upon previously on. So Tucker will come in from the left side, and Dawood Azim will have in his hand a hat trick ball. We've already seen one so far this season. Deveshwari Prasad last Sunday against the New England Eagles. Here we go. And it's dabbed to the onside. They'll come through for a single. No hat trick on this occasion, and Elton Tucker Jr. is off the mark. The 2 ball still to come, but the run rate has gone down to 5.45. And for a team like the Atlanta Lightning, even if this pitch tends to give a fair bit or tends to not be too inviting, you have to feel that the Lightning very much on top as Sharma opens up, gets by Azim. They'll take one. They'll think about taking two and think better of it. Sharma now 30 off of 30, one ball to come. Azim has bowled well in this over. It's all been singles to go with the 2 wickets. And Tucker was in from the left side. Well, probably we'll see Tucker more with the ball than with the bat, but we'll see how he does as he faces the final ball of the 15th over. And it's in on his hips, and he turns it around, and it's a dot ball as it didn't go far enough. 2 more wickets as Azim removes 2 critical batters in Gar and Bandla. 5 overs still to come in the Fort Lauderdale Lions innings. They are 81 for 6 after 15. The Atlanta Lightning very much on top in this game as Mark Dayal will come in. As we look at the numbers here, and it looks very much like the Lightning are planning on a 5-man bowling rotation, as Dayal will finish his spell. He's none for 18. And then Soeb Tai, Amila Aponso, and Azim, they all have 1 left. And this one is tapped by Ronak Sharma, who has been a beacon in the storm for the Lions. And he gets his 31st run. They're 82 for 6. And then Fani Simhadri still has 2 to bowl. So you imagine that we'll see Simhadri, rather. So this is Dial's 4th. We'll definitely see Simhadri. And I'm sorry, Ty has Tal has bowled himself out. So he's 1 for 10. So you'll see probably Simhadri in the 17th or perhaps in the 18th. As that was a wipeout. So you'll see, so you've got Dayal here in the 16th. You'll probably see either Aponso or Azim come back in the 17th, and then they'll go Simhadri, the other one, and then Simhadri again as Tucker plays defensively. And for a man who comes in at number 8 with his team 6 wickets down and less now than 5 overs to go, you would think he would be swinging a little bit more freely. There it is, and he pokes at one. They all looking back at the umpire for an appeal, but none coming. 82 for 6 is what we have as the score. And we'll see it updated here in just a moment. There's a cloud cover coming back in. Dayal with his 4th ball. It's a full toss, and Tucker says, I know how to play those. And he whips one to the onside, and there is a boundary for Elton Tucker Jr. They needed that one, did the Lions. And they go on to 86 for 6. A mistake from Mark Dayal, and picked up nicely by Tucker as he turns that one to the leg side. This one, more of a length defended by Elton Tucker Jr. 1 ball still to come. Tucker has played another guy who's been all over the place, and he swings wholeheartedly at that one and gets nothing but air. So Dayal comes back, and he finishes none for 23 off of his 4-over spell. The Fort Lauderdale Lions, after 16, are 86 for 6. So it'll be Dawood Azim who will come in to bowl number 17. And so that would mean that if I had to guess, it would be Simhadri to bowl the 18th, Aponzo the 19th, and then Simhadri the 20th. It's always interesting to see how teams strategize in terms of how to utilize their bowling. And really, all 5 bowlers have bowled extremely well. They haven't had to go elsewhere. And Sharma picks this one up on a hop and lines this one down the ground as the aforementioned Emilio Aponzo comes around to field it at long on. They were only able to get a run off of that, and that'll bring up Tucker. 87 for 6 with 23 balls to go, and the projected score at this point is 108. But we've seen, especially last week in the East, with the New Jersey Somerset Cavaliers and Manhattan Yorkers, how quickly things can turn in the final over or two. And Tucker opened up. This one has been given as a wide, much to the chagrin of wicketkeeper Vivek Kanamurray, who is still, after 40 seconds, holding his hands out. And I believe that might be Monak Patel, who is arguing with the umpire. And he stomps off to the onside, and that ball was pretty close to the tram lines. Of course, the umpire is much closer to the action than I am, so I have no reason to umpire with him. But now we have the umpire on the walkie-talkie, and well, we've seen some exploits from captains in the last couple of weeks. Jesse Singh in Albany last week, when his team was trying to chase down New Jersey Somerset Cavaliers, and he got run off. Again, he is, and again, Monak Patel not happy. And you rarely see this. You rarely see a captain that vociferous. Here is the ball in question. And that one turned, and I think it's a matter of where the ball pitched. And it almost looked like it pitched inside the tram lines. We're back to live action. Either way, it will go down as a wide. It is chiseled in stone and cannot be changed forever. And we're still having a conversation with Dawood Azim. And he is still remonstrating with the umpire, and the umpire is saying, "You need to stop. This is, at some point, you have to let this go." And at some point, Monak Patel, who is now monitoring things, at some point he's got to come in and say, "Dude, you need to keep your head in the game." But this is, I think, it's a little bit too extended. He's now back at his mark. And this one is driven into the ground by Tucker, and it went off about 4 feet. It's through for a dot ball. And we're just coming in late. I don't know if another wide was given. Right now it's 88 for 6. In fact, no, that was a dot ball as well. And I think this one as well was a dot. So 88 for 6. Still 3 more balls to come in the 17th over. Temperatures starting to spike a little bit on the field. And that one, a curly Q short ball, and pulled to the onside by Elton Tucker Jr. He takes a single, 89 for 6. I mean, the Lightning are in a good position, and I know they're competing, and I know that they want every victory, and every little thing to go their way. But you're in a really good position here as long as you maintain your poise, which Ronak Sharma, standing in, has managed to do. He opens up and pounds this one to the onside. Over towards Cow. Another single taken, and 1 more ball to come in the 17th over. Sharma 33 from 33. And he has done a magnificent job of steadying things. He's been the anchor, having come in at number 3 after Arnab Mishra went very early on. And opening up is Elton Tucker Jr., driven along the ground, but right to the man at long off. And it's another single. So Azim expended a lot of carbon dioxide, gave up 5 runs total off of 7 deliveries, 17 complete from the Orange County ground. It's the Orlando Cricket ground. Fort Lauderdale are 91 for 6. I think now would be a good time to peek in and take a look at some of the other games that are happening around, at least the games that are live, as the Silicon Valley Strikers out on the West Coast taking on the LA Lashings. The Lashings chasing down a Silicon Valley target of 177. They're 31 for 1 in the 5th over. St. Louis Americans have put up 80 for 3, the first of 2 weekends that they'll be playing home at the ACAC ground in Wentzville, Missouri, just to the west. And near 80 for 3 against the Chicago Kingsmen. And the Metroplex Tracers and Kings 11 Dallas, their game last night was ended early by rain. The that was the Dallas Exforia Giants and the Tracers. The Giants winning that game. The Tracers trying to get back with a victory against K11D. So it should be Fani Simhadri to come in and bowl the 18th. We started to talk about the stadium and its location. It's about a 45-minute drive west of downtown Orlando. And Simhadri comes in and almost takes out the legs of Elton Tucker Jr., who has donned a helmet for the fast bowler. And Simhadri, as we said, taking out his 93rd wicket. It's entirely possible, as he comes in and hit the wicket keeper on the arm. I wasn't sure whether Tucker had gotten a piece of that, as you see him rubbing the shoulder there. The man in Conor Murray, who has done well behind the stumps. And Ronak Sharma will come up. Again, Atlanta Fire winning earlier today over Orlando Galaxy. They're 4-0. They'll remain at the top of the heap no matter what happens in the other games. This one, and then at 6 o'clock, the Morrisville Raptors hosting the Baltimore Royals at Church Street Park. Almond Patel and Nate Hayes should have all the action for you here on the MLC Network. And a short ball as Sharma pulls this one to the onside. Another run comes in. 93 for 6. Always amuses me in cricket. The umpire is almost like a coat rack. He holds the hats. He holds the towels. Whatever is dangling from the player's person, be it bowler or batter, he takes in. Driven by Sharma, right to a fielder, however. Simhadri bowling well. I believe there should be 2 more balls to come. Remains 93 for 6. Elton Tucker Jr. goes for a swing. In fact, he went forward and was almost wandered out of his crease and almost got caught napping, but he got back in time. So final ball of the over of the 18th, and Simhadri has bowled generally well. 1 for 20. Actually, 1 for 21 at this point. The run that hasn't been registered on Crick Clubs. And he comes in, and again, Tucker goes down on one knee. And he will retain the strike as he takes a single. And that'll end the 18th over. And Fort Lauderdale still creeping along. We haven't reached the 100 yet, with Tucker on 9 and Sharma on 34. After 18, the Lions are 94 for 6. So Emilio Ponzo, as predicted, will come into bowl the 19th. That'll leave Simhadri to bowl the last. And as we look at the, again, love looking at the all-time leaderboard. It is for a league that's only been around 5 years, it is very much a wealth. That was a Ponzo who's on 70. He has 2 today, so he's up to 75 wickets. And he has 2 more to catch Zia Muhammad Shahad of the San Ramon Grizzlies, who is currently sitting in 4th. Chipped in the air. There could have been a caught and bowl chance, but Aponso was on his back foot. And there's a dot ball for Elton Tucker, 9 off of 17. And he's played very cautiously. And at some point, he's going to need to start swinging. And that time is now, but it gets by everybody. And we'll go all the way to the boundary and over it for 4 byes. So those won't, or nope. Tucker did get a top edge to it. It looked like it hopped over everybody, but he did get a thick top edge to it. It was a cheeky 4 by Elton Tucker Jr. And, there are 4 runs on the score sheet, no matter how you slice it. That's his second boundary. He's now 13 off of 18. And now he dances down the track and just chips this one up over the top, down the ground. He'll take a single. 99 for 6. 9 balls to come in the innings. Emilio Ponzo, hands on hips, directing traffic a little bit, having some of his guys come across. And with Ronak Sharma in, he puts all the berries behind this one, but stopped in the deep. Another single, and that finally brings up the 100 for the Fort Lauderdale Lions. It does so with 8 balls remaining in the innings after they won the toss and elected to bat. And Elton Tucker Jr. on the other side, who's done pretty well for a lower order batsman. He dances down the pitch and decides to turn this on to fine leg, or towards fine leg. And that has gone through and all the way for 4. Another 4 for Elton Tucker Jr. Well, that one skittered away faster than I think anybody expected. So the third boundary for Elton Tucker, well, I'll tell you what, has done well being called in late here. Perhaps there's a late flourish for the Lions. This time he backed out and completely handcuffed by Emilio Aponso, who finishes his spell today at 2 for 29. He did well in the first couple of overs. He was lit up a little bit, but a solid performance all the same by the great Emilio Aponso. With 1 over to come, Fort Lauderdale Lions are 104 for 6. So Fani Simhadri will come in to bowl the final over in this first innings. The man from the Seattle Orcas, or as, of course, we played in for the Seattle Thunderbolts, as we've said. And it will be Ronak Sharma to face his first delivery in this final over. And he decides to go with a reverse sweep and made absolutely no contact. And this is the unstoppable force and the immovable object. You want to try and get as many runs as you can out of this final over, but you're also facing the leading wicket taker in the competition. He has 4 more over Sarjeet Singh Lada, who we will probably see later on tonight, as Sharma scrapes this one along the ground to take another single. He's 36 from 36. Fort Lauderdale are 105 for 6. And in fact, it's been given as a leg by, so Sharma will not get credit for that, as he swiped at it and it did just catch the pad. So here is Elton Tucker Jr. And he dances down and lifts this one in the air, but it will drop in front of the fielder. Now, Tucker has shown finally in the last couple of overs that he's not afraid to open up the bat a bit. So 106 for 6 for Fort Lauderdale. And the pitch has shown a bit of turn and shown that it has a lot for the bowlers, but I wouldn't tip against the Atlanta Lightning, even if these last 4 balls go for many runs. But we'll have to see. As Sharma hits this one on a line, and that one will scoot all the way to the boundary for 4. So Ronak Sharma has done, it's been a steady innings. I know he would like to see his strike rate up a little bit more, but he came in and he's been, as we've said on many occasions, he's been the keystone to this innings, 39 off of 37. That's just his second 4, by the way, and he has a 6 to go with it. And there's 3 balls left to go as Simhadri comes in and Sharma drives it along the ground. And that one was stopped, went off of Fani. They pick up a single out of that. So 1-1-1 for 6 now. We have a guy who's taken as many wickets as Simhadri had. You can look at the statistics on crickclubs.com. Of his 93 wickets, 48 of them have been caught. He has, at least regular caught, and then he had 6 which have been wicketkeeper catches. Penultimate ball of the innings, and Tucker with a swing that goes behind the wicket. And they'll pick up another run, so that will do it. That was the final ball. I knew there was one more in there somewhere. That is the final ball. And Elton Tucker finishes on 20, and the Fort Lauderdale Lions crawl to a final total of 112 for 6. So Ronak Sharma, after Arnab Mishra was bowled for stumped for a 5-ball duck, Mario Rapperad came in and looked like he was going to be up for a while before holing out the Mark Parchment for 20. It was up to Sharma. Him and Mohib Siddiqui put on a partnership of 49, but 3 straight ducks in the order, with Katakan going after 2 balls, Gar going after 3, and then the golden duck, and Elton Tucker coming in to put up a total of 112. The bowling figures pretty solid, as Dawood Azim almost came away with a hat trick, 2 for 19. Emil Alfonso, 2 for 29. Fani Simhadri picked up a wicket, 1 from 29. And Sohaib Tai, 1 from 10 with a catch. Mark Dial didn't bowl too bad as well. He didn't get a wicket, but he limited to just 29 runs. So we are at halftime of our match. The innings break. The Atlanta Lightning looking for their 3rd win of the season. They need 113. Will they be able to do it, or will there be some magic in this game, and we'll see the Fort Lauderdale Lions steal their first? Those questions will be on the other side of this break. We hope you'll join us for the run chase. We'll be back. You're watching the 2025 Minor League Cricket Championship from Orlando here on the MLC Network. And we're back here at the Orlando Cricket Ground, the 2025 Minor League Cricket Championship, as the run chase looks like is about to begin momentarily. They little bit of a long, let's say delay, but they've been working on the pitch for some time and giving it a fresh coat of paint and working on other parts of it. But we are just about set to see if the Fort Lauderdale Lions can defend 112 runs. If they do so, they'll pick up their first win of the season. If they can't, the Atlanta Lightning will go to 3-1. Brian Barish back here with you. Glad to have your company, no matter where you're joining us here on the MLC Network. And we'll get the names and numbers of the folks who are out in the middle. It is Atish Gawand who will begin proceedings from the southern end of the ground. And Mayank Patel, who is having a sparkling season here in the early going, the captain of the Lightning, was on one side. And in the last game, victory over the Lions back on August 31st, he top scored with 69. A nice outing for him. And that was his highest score. Man who is a U.S. international. As we are almost in readiness, we should tell you it is 91 degrees Fahrenheit still at the ground. And just checking the radar, there are some little bits of rain about, but it doesn't look like it should trouble the next 20 overs. There is a larger system that is further to the south of the Orlando area, but that shouldn't make too much of a difference. And the second half of this match is underway, and no one is driven back down into the ground. So we're off and running. 113 runs are required, as Nicholas Manohar is the man on strike at the moment. Atish will come in for his second ball. And this time, dab to the onside. And Nicholas Manohar is off the mark. The Lightning 1-0. Manohar, Canadian international. So two players who would have faced each other on a number of different occasions are batting together against Atish Gawand. Manohar from Brampton, Ontario, 24 and a half years of age. U19 product with the Canadian national team. Mayank Patel drives the first ball he sees down the ground, and they'll take a single from that, 2-0. And then Atish Gawand on the other side. Man who has played in Mumbai for some time. Playing his first season in minor league cricket. And so far has taken 2 wickets in his first 3 games. Manohar steers it away to the offside. Good stop by the fielder. And another run taken, as is generally the case. The Lightning are opting to go with a left-handed batter and a right-handed batter. So we'll see a lot of changing of the fields. Guys who generally would be on the leg side were the same side that the batter is standing. They'll stay on both sides. So you'll see players run around like a mini little fire drill in between balls when that happens, when they do take a run. This is a fuller ball, chipped in the air just over the infield. And Mayank Patel gets away with one, perhaps. Another single. Is Rashesh Berra able to come in and stop it. 4 for none, 1 ball to come. Final ball of the first over is driven in the air, and with the power play on, the infielder was in. He found the gap, and Manohar may have grabbed 2 off of this. In fact, he has. So the first over comes to a close. The Atlanta Lightning, who basically need a run of ball to win, they are 6 for none. We mentioned a number of the people watching here on the MLC Network. Want to say hello to Katie Harron, who's watching up in Connecticut today. Katie, a massive Arsenal Women's Football Club fan. I know she's happy having seen her team beat London City 4-1 earlier today. So, hello to you and to everybody else, as we said, watching along here, and to the crowd. That's been a good-sized crowd at the Orlando Cricket Ground. Again, opening weekend for them in minor league cricket play. It's been a long time coming. As Mohib Siddiqui takes the ball. And for Fort Lauderdale, always like a guy who plays sport with glasses, and he has the backwards hat on to boot. Siddiqui's taken just 2 wickets in 16 overs. First ball he faces, and Patel blasts this one to the offside, and that should go all the way to the boundary despite the valiant effort. And we'll roll for 4. As Sinahak Padabandla went into a dead sprint, but the ball won the race over the rope. First boundary of the game for Atlanta. They go to 10 for none. Patel swipes at it, got a piece of it, but went all of about 4 centimeters. Good comeback by Siddiqui, who did well, batting 28 from 25. And again, Monank Patel trying to open up. We saw him in a very animated conversation towards the end of the Lions innings when Dawood Azim bowled a wide ball that he thought wasn't as wide. Siddiqui set to go again. And once again, it's cut away. Almost caught. Just hit the palms of his hands. And the way Monank Patel is batting, that might be a huge, huge missed opportunity. It was hit well to the offside. He got 2 hands on the ball, but could not pull it in. That would have been a very good catch. They only give up the run off of it, but more importantly, Monank Patel still has his wicket. Ooh. Well, you got a team that's 0-3 against a team that's 2-1. You're going to need something special to get the victory. As Manohar turns it to the onside, gets by the fielder and over the rope and over it. Another 4 for Nicholas Manohar. That's his second boundary, or we'll check that. That's his first boundary. And stroked well. Manohar is going to be in a position where most of what he sees, he's going to hit it to the spots of the field where the fielders ain't. So 15 for none. And the final ball from Mohib Siddiqui. It's a bouncer. And Manohar is onto it in the flash. The fielder comes over. He makes the stop nicely. They will come back for a second. So 4, 5, 7, 9 more runs in the over given up by Mohib Siddiqui. Chasing 113 after 2. Atlanta are 17 for none. So a recap very quickly of the earlier game today, as the Atlanta Fire were victors over the Orlando Galaxy by 37 runs. Atlanta 134 for 8, and Orlando being bowled out for 97. And they'll switch dance partners tomorrow, as the two Atlanta teams will switch off, and the Fire will play the Lions tomorrow. And I'll be on the call starting at 2:30 Eastern time for the Orlando Galaxy and the Fort Lauderdale, or rather, and the Atlanta Lightning. And in the preparation for that match, we talk about how well Thani Sahadri has bowled. Of his 93 wickets, since coming over to the Atlanta Lightning in 2023, he has only collected 2 wickets against the Orlando Galaxy, and this was both in 2023. He didn't take any wickets against them last season. So Kataknand will come in, was dismissed for a duck with the bat. Let's see how he does with the ball. And it's a full delivery to Manak Patel, who puts it into the vacant outfield. And the grass slows it down. They're going to come back for 2. Quick peg at the stumps by Mario Rapperad. And he was able to throw the stumps down, but Manohar was back in a hurry. So Patel with 2 more. And right now they're way ahead of the asking rate, even in this early going. And Manak Patel, he has had, as we said, a very good start for the Lightning. And he has become a very reliable as the captain for the U.S. side, even though he got injured midway through the World Cup last year, as they try to pin Manohar on the other side and don't get it. And Manak goes to double digits. He is 10 off of 8. And Atlanta are 20 for none. Of course, the other game happening tonight in about an hour and a half time at Church Street Park in North Carolina, the Morrisville Raptors taking on the Baltimore Royals. The Royals themselves are trying to stay undefeated at 2-0. And I believe they're playing a doubleheader as well. In fact, they are. They'll play tomorrow at 2 p.m. in the second game of their back-to-back, as Manohar turns this one off as hits. Another run up comes. 21 for none. And one thing about the two Florida teams, the Lions, as we said, they had a winning season in 2023, only to fall to the they're giving that first one as a 1. So it's now 20 for none. This one is driven along the ground, no run. Again, that was Behera who came over to make the stop there, as he is at short mid on. A good look at what he's seeing over his shoulder as Kataknand comes in. Big. There's a big appeal that it went off of as they were appealing for LBW. And Kataknand is just kind of hand pinching his chin, thinking, what else do I have to do? Tell you what, if the Lions can get one of these two out, well, there's plenty of good batters behind them. And especially Mark Parchment. And if you watch the game tomorrow, we'll have plenty of history about it. But Mark Parchment, he put up 111. As this one is driven down the ground, and Patel will take a single, and that'll end the over. We'll finish the thought in just a moment. At the end of 3 complete, chasing 113. The Atlanta Lightning off to a good start. They're 22 for none. So 22 for none. And Mark Parchment, and Mark has created a new profile on Crick Clubs for him, so we'll have to go back and find the old one. He had a 111 in a washed out game against Orlando in 2021, and there's a wicket. And there is a huge wicket. Manik Patel is sent on his way. Mohib Siddiqui clean bowls him. And a huge breakthrough for the Lions, and Atlanta are 22 for 1. Just caught the top of middle and off. And there was much rejoicing. And Siddiqui picks up a wicket. So Jordan Warner will come in at number 3. We'll bat aside Nicholas Manohar. It'll be on Manohar to carry the mantle here and hope to stay in the middle for a little bit. But could this be a trick of the tail? As we take a look at the match summary to this point, Ranak Sharma, 40 from 39. Siddiqui, in addition to the wicket, played very well, 28 for 25. Mario Rapperad, perhaps a little unlucky. He was 20 for 22 before holing out to the aforementioned Mark Parchment. The Wood Azim picking up a couple of wickets as well. And so Jordan Warner will bat from the right side. Warner, Trinidad Tobago, was an under-19 product. 27 years of age. He'll be 28 in January. And Siddiqui bowls to the outside and gets by the fielder. This will be some runs, and in fact, it'll be a boundary for Jordan Warner. So a good comeback by the batters as Warner comes in for his captain and slaps this one away for 4 runs. And Siddiqui was changing the angle of attack, and good job by Warner to go with the flow as he comes in nice and cold. So 26 for 1. The Lightning, a team that both Atlanta teams have had a lot of weapons, and this one is dribbled back down by Warner, and they'll walk the run here. So they go on to 27 for 1. And Manohar will come in as Siddiqui will continue from the north end. And once again, they've got a lefty and a righty going on here. So again, everybody scurrying around in between. Siddiqui continues, and this one is in on the kneecaps of Nicholas Manohar, who says, I don't want to go on this occasion. It'll be interesting to see how they hold this partnership. Driven back, clanked him in on the pad, and it was definitely bat then pad, but Manohar lucky that it didn't carry him onto the stumps. And Siddiqui aborts his run-up. The weather and the conditions have been very good. It's kind of interesting. It's been a good bowling pitch. As Manohar goes down, good stop. Good stop there in the infield. And that will actually do it for the 4th over. Good over from Mohib Siddiqui. He gets the big fish of Manik Patel. Gives up just 5 runs in the process. With 4 overs complete and 2 left in the power play, the Atlanta Lightning are 27 for 1. So Catacon will come back in and continue from the south end. The south end is the one with the hill. And that is the Groveland Avenue end here in Groveland, Florida, which is, as we say, about a 45-minute drive from downtown Orlando. And if you're in the area, you just happen to be at Walt Disney World, it's about the same distance, but it's Walt Disney World is to the southwest. Warner lets that one go. It was a length ball. And Warner went down and let that one go. It is a dot ball. And again, having some technical issues down in Orlando. And here we go again. So Catacon is back. And driven along the ground by Jordan Warner. They should come through for a single, and they do. So 28 for 1. Again, if you're relatively new to cricket, the first 6 overs, and the first 6 sets of 6 balls, are what they call the power play. There was a 35-yard ring around the pitch, where the wickets are. And in that power play allotment, only 2 players of the 11 fielders, or essentially of the 9 that aren't involved in the battery, can be outside that circle. Warner plays a more defensive shot, gets by, and they'll take a run, and in fact, they'll take 4. There was nobody at fine leg. And for Nicholas Manohar, it will be 4. And in fact, it has gone behind and it has been given as 5 wides. So for a team as talented as the Atlanta Lightning, you don't want to give them any extra balls and any extra runs. And Nihal Catacon just gave him 5. 33 for 1. Manohar waits, drives this one through the air, and there's 4 more, this time off the bat. So Manohar is picking them out, and this is very patient batting by the Atlanta Lightning, who know exactly what to do in this situation. As he hits Catacon down the ground for 4 more, 37 for 1 now. As he walks in, does Catacon. Catacon in his first game on last Friday night in Morrisville, 65 runs in the victory, and this time he goes down, does Manohar, and goes deep. It is stopped just in front of the rope. They should get 2 out of this. In fact, they get 1. So a loud single for Manohar, who goes to 16, and Atlanta is going along just nicely. Thank you. The asking rate is 5 runs and over. And they are just a skosh under 8 with 7 balls left in the power play. And this is the final ball of over number 5. Defensive shot played by Warner. And we said they are being very patient. Well, they can afford to be when you need 5 and over to win, and you're going along at 7.6. 5 complete. From the Orlando Cricket Ground, chasing 113, the Atlanta Lightning are 38 for 1. We will do our occasional peek of other matches going on. In just a moment, you see Mario Rapperad setting up behind the wicket. Silicon Valley Strikers, they put up 176. The LA Lashings are 62 runs behind with 4 overs to go. So it looks like the Strikers are going to beat LA and hand them another loss. The St. Louis Americans at the ACAC ground in Wentzville, Missouri, they're 132 for 9 in their innings. So Chicago Kingsmen will have to chase 133, and they're 9 overs into that game in Grand Prairie, where Kings 11 Dallas are 88 for none after 9. See who's batting there as the first ball of the 6th over comes in, and it is a good ball to start. It's Remendar and Unmuk Chan. Well, whenever Unmuk Chan's at the strike, you know you're in trouble. And so we'll keep an eye on some of those games here. The focus, of course, here in Orlando as Behera comes on for the first time bowling from the north end. And Manohar goes behind, but Fielder is there in the point region. Good start. For Rasesh Behera. This game, by the way, we'll finish the thought in just a moment. Behera comes in, slugged by Manohar. Does it have the distance? It does on a couple of hops. Bounce, 4. And Nicholas Manohar has another boundary. That's his 3rd. And Atlanta, 38 for 1. Right up in the breadbasket. No mistake. Manohar onto it in a flash. I was going to say this game now is an official game. We talked about the rain being about, but if the game were to end because of it at some point, from this point until it does finish, it would be an official game and we'd have a result. As Manohar drives this one into the ground and again heading towards the rope, but stopped out there by the man who comes around at sweeper. And they'll jog 2 more for Nicholas Manohar, and the Atlanta Lightning are striking often here. At the end of the power play, the Fort Lauderdale Lions were 29 for 2, so Atlanta way ahead of that. Yorker length ball, and Manohar eases it to the offside. There is no run. They are 44 for 1 with 2 balls to come. And the last ball of the power play was when the wicket of Mario Rapperad was taken. 2 balls to come. Atlanta 44 for 1. And Behera deals. Cut away by Manohar. And through a fielder. And I believe that's going all the way for 4. Well, it has. And the defensive side for the Lions playing valiantly, but Manohar hit that so hard. The ball's ancestors were feeling that one, and that ends the 6th over. So at the end of the power play, the Atlanta Lightning 48 for 1. They are 19 ahead of where their opponents were at this rate. And the Lightning are in a very, very good spot. But of course, we've seen games change, and I was on the call last week when the New Jersey Stallions defeated the Somerset Cavaliers. As you look at the match summary, Nicholas Manohar at 25 for 17. Manik Patel bowled by Siddiqui, 11 off of 12. And Jordan Warner out there for 7. Elton Tucker Jr. will come into bowl, but you see Siddiqui with the lone wicket so far. And then you see the Fort Lauderdale innings with Ronak Sharma putting up 40 not out. A good performance for him. Elton Tucker Jr. with his lovely curly flowing locks. And Elton definitely fairly prolific with the ball in the past. And we'll see how he goes. As Jordan Warner will face the fielding restrictions lifted, so they're allowed now up to 5 players outside the circle. And we'll see how they line up against Jordan Warner, and we'll see how he changes his tact. And more importantly, we'll see how the Fort Lauderdale attack faces. Left arm spinner does his thing, and this one is hit the third man. He's on his horse. It will stop right in front of the rope. So Warner gets 2, and that brings up the 50 for the Atlanta Lightning. And as is their name, they've done so very quickly. The Lions didn't get their 50 until the 10th over. Fuller ball back to the mound off of Tucker's hand. He went down to try and stop it from getting through. Bahar comes over and tosses the ball back to Tucker. Opening up is Warner, but no contact. So Tucker with a couple of good balls to start. And Elton Tucker, I'll tell you what, he did well at the end of the innings with the bat. He finished on 20 not out from 23 balls, including 3 fours. And in a situation where you're struggling to get runs, and they didn't even get the 2 runs a ball, it was or essentially a run a ball at this point. They didn't even get to a run rate of 6. Those little things are good pick-me-ups, and they help you psychologically when you get out in the field. And he bowls another good dot ball here as Warner now has gone into head in shell mode. Still 50 for 1. 3 balls remaining in the 7th over. Brian Barish here with you. Glad to have your company. We'll have a full day of action around minor league cricket tomorrow, including 2 games here at the OCG. Opening up is Warner, and he slaps it to the offside. And they'll take a run. So he goes to double digits. He's 10 off of 12, 51st run of the innings for Atlanta. As we said, both these teams will be in action. They'll play the they'll switch off from the games yesterday. The 2 Atlanta teams will play the 2 Florida teams. We said the Lightning will play the Galaxy tomorrow. And this one, again, Manohar's eyes lit up, but it ends up dribbling straight down the ground. They'll get a single, and that will end the 7th over. And so Tucker gives up 4. Good job from him in the first over after the power play, chasing 113. The Atlanta Lightning are 52 for 7. So the run rate for the Atlanta Lightning is at 7.43, and the asking rate is 4.7. And so in that respect, they're ahead. They're ahead in terms of where they were vis-a-vis the Lightning, or the Lions, rather. And then, of course, you have the Duckworth-Lewis-Stern par score. Now there's a van down there. I don't know if I'd be wanting to drive a giant van that way at that particular grade, but going to say, maybe it'll give something for the batters to hit at, even though they're going to be facing the other direction for this over. And here is Mishra, who we'll see for the first time. And Arnab Mishra didn't have a very good day in the crease on the batting end. He was stumped by Vivek Kanamuri off the bowling of Soeb Tai for a 5-ball duck. And a reverse sweep from Manohar as he pulls out the bag of tricks. And there's 4 more runs. Nicholas Manohar greets the new bowler with a ding-dong dinger going the other way. Opened up and went. Whew. So he goes the 30. Does Nicholas Manohar 56 for 1 now. Mishra comes in, driven to the offside, but to no avail. Good comeback. And Arnab Mishra, again, making his debut this season in minor league cricket as Manohar opens up and cuts it away. And stopped in the deep. They jog through for another run. So 57 for 1. I don't remember if I said it because I was saying a lot of words at the time, but the DLS par score, 35 right now. So the Lightning well and truly ahead in this match. It's just a matter. And we started to say a little bit earlier, I did the match last week with the New Jersey Stallions and New Jersey Somerset Cavaliers. Mishra bowls and Warner this time drives it down. He hits this one in the air going back. It drops in front of the fielder. And he hit that one hard and deep, but stayed in the oval. And another run taken. 58 for 1. We'll finish the thought in a moment in between overs here as the final ball of the over comes in. Manohar cuts it away through one fielder, but not the second, and he'll keep the strike. So Mishra gives up 7 in his first over. 8 overs complete, chasing 113. The Atlanta Lightning are 59 for 1. So yeah, there was a game last week. New Jersey Stallions. They had their first partnership for 73 without losing a wicket, and then they had a couple of bowlers come in. Varak Desai being one of them, and they all of a sudden they threw the brakes on. And we'll get the full card just to explain to you the absolute bonkers nature of that match. It was Dominique Ricci and Akshay Homraj who had gotten off to a 73-run partnership. And then Viraj Desai from one end and Salman Nazar pretty much threw everything into a tizzy as Tucker will continue from the south end. And this one hit in the air by Manohar. And that's another boundary for Nicholas Manohar. It's 4 more. He goes to 36. They cannot bowl to him as Tucker went on a bodyline ball. And 4 more runs. Could nickname him Man-O-War, the way that he's been lashing out at these 4s. Now he decides to bowl away from him, does Tucker. And this one will be stopped in the outfield, slowed down by the longish grass out there. But another single, 64 for 1, and Manohar goes to 37. So yeah, that was an absolutely bonkers game. And it left... At one point, they needed 2 runs a ball in the final, I want to say in the final 6 overs for the Stallions. And Jesse Singh carried his team on his back almost to the line. As this one is bowled wide by Tucker, and he goes hands on hips, expecting better from himself. Another extra, 65 for 1. And then he got himself ran out on 33. And we talked about how upset Manang Patel was when a call didn't go his way. Singh was throwing his equipment on his way off the field after being run out. Top back down the ground by Jordan Warner. They'll pick up another run. Clickety-click, 66 for one. But then Anirudh Emanuel came in alongside Stephen Wigg as they needed 9 runs off the final over, and they got it. And so the Stallions, alongside the Atlanta Fire and Baltimore, remain undefeated in this second round. Appeal there from Elton Tucker, but to no dice. Our umpires today, just repeating, are, well, that's not the game. Looking at the other one, our umpires are David Maitland and Judson Edwards, as going down is Manohar, going back and making the catch. And so Manohar tried to get fancy again with the reverse sweep. And it is caught once again by Mohib Siddiqui, who had the 1 wicket, and now he picks up a catch as well. Elton Tucker Jr. has a wicket, his first in minor league cricket, and Atlanta Lightning are 66 for 2. As Nicholas Manohar, who looked like he could have gone on for a half century or better, will have to walk on 37. So he goes 37 from 27. Tucker now 1 from 11 balls. And the Lions trying to keep them within their sight here. As you can see, Tucker now joining Siddiqui on 1 for 11, and Nicholas Manohar 3 runs short of Ronex Sharma for the top score of the match. Sharma with an unbeaten 40 off of 39 balls, and Siddiqui, well, that those are the smallest worms I've ever seen. Yeah, I don't have I don't see a worm chart on my side, so that's funny. You see the run rates here is what the run rate has steadied down at a little under 8. And here's Mark Dayal, as we said, the former East Bay Blazer. It is like going through a minefield for this Fort Lauderdale side. And that ends the over on a dot ball. So Tucker gives up 7 runs in the over. He takes a huge wicket of Manohar, and at the end of 9, chasing 113, Atlanta Lightning are 66 for 2. So the equation is 47 off of the final 66, and whenever you're well ahead of that run a ball required, it's a good position to be in. But there's some good talented bowlers here. We've already seen Siddiqui take one and play well in the field. So just going over a bit the where the Lightning have finished in the seasons past as Mishra comes in and starts Warner off with a ball in the 5th stump territory. Second ball of the over is in the same spot. Warner doesn't offer. Another ball goes begging. He can afford to be patient. The Atlanta Lightning, who in the first season were known as the Atlanta Paramveers, finished 4th of 6 in the South Division as a full toss, and Warner is jammed, but he'll end up getting a single of that. He probably would have liked to have gotten more, and Mark Dayal will come up to strike for the first time. Or he's already faced the ball. So 4th place with a record of 4-7 with 3 rainouts in season 1 for the team now known as the Lightning. In 2022, they finished at 8-4, which was a good record in the South Division, but not good enough to surpass the Morrisville Raptors, who advanced to the playoffs only to lose to the New Jersey Stallions in the semifinal. As Dayal opens up, a big appeal made for leg before wicket. A big appeal, and he came running all the way down. He came running all the way down to face the umpire. It has not been very popular. All right, so let's see. Well, they're claiming a catch. Now, Rapperad is right there, and I don't know if he truly thought this was a catch or if he was trying to sell it. But Rapperad with the slow bowler Mishra standing right behind him, and the umpire didn't get it. So Dayal stays alive. He's done for 2. So after an 8-4-2 record, just barely missing the playoffs, the Fire did finally make the playoffs in 2023, having won the South Division with a record of 7-1, and then went to the Super 8s and finished 4th of the 4 teams with a 1-2 record. As Mishra bowls. And more on a length, and Dayal will get his first runs. And it's a single. So he's off the mark. 68 for 2 now the Lightning. 45 off of 61. 1 ball until the drinks break. And then in 2024, the Lightning going 4-4 and finishing in 4th and missing the postseason completely. And that ends the 10th over. The drinks break will be taken. And the Atlanta Lightning are in as good a shape as you can be at this position. They need 45 off the final 60 balls to win the ball game and pick up their 3rd run and keep pace with the Atlanta Fire for tops in the South Division. So after 10, chasing 113, the Atlanta Lightning are 68 for 2. So as the players take some liquid refreshments, we'll take a quick recap of the game so far. The Fort Lauderdale Lions won the toss and elected the bat. And Sharma on 40, the high scorer, Ronak Sharma. And he batted alongside Mohib Siddiqui. The two of them batted for a 49-run partnership before Siddiqui got out on 28 off of 25 as Monank Patel made a nice catch. And Dawood Azim picking up a couple of wickets. Amila Aponso, 2 for 29. And then the other wickets, Soeb Tai, 1 for 10, and Fani Samhadri, 1 for 29. Tidy bowling by the Atlanta Lightning. They only gave up 4 wides over the course of the day. Mario Rampersan, as we said, looked like he was going to bat for a while. He was looking in good nick, but a relatively soft dismissal as Mark Parchment made the catch. Arnab Mishra was stumped by Vivek Kanamuri, the wicketkeeper, for a 5-ball duck. And then Azim came very close to getting a hat trick. 3 ducks in a row as Nihal Katakdand bowled by Emila Ponzo for a 2-ball duck. Shubham Singh Gaur was caught by Simhadri off of Azim. And then Sathwik Paddy Bandla on the very next ball was caught by Tall in the deep. And Azim was on a hat trick, but Elton Tucker Jr. not only survived but thrived as he finished as the other not-out batsman on 20 from 23. So for the Lightning, the question will be, how quickly can they finish this game off and go back to the hotel and grab themselves a good meal and a shower and enjoy a third victory, and then turn their attention to another team without a win, the Orlando Galaxy, tomorrow, as Katakdand will continue from the south end. Another reverse sweep chance, this one from Mark Dayal, and hopped over everything. The question will be whether or not Dayal got a piece of it with his bat. But they did come through for a single either way. So 69 for 2. 44 required. And for the Lions, it'll be a question of, can they put some cracks in the armor here for the Lightning and force them to play a little bit more aggressively than they need to. They only need 4.7 runs a ball, and that, in fact, was given as a leg bye. Just the 7th extra. As Katakdand gave up 5 wides on 1 ball. Saw something in the game last night, we'll get into in a moment, as Warner faces Katakdand, and he opens up, and no, it's given as a wide. As, again, Rapperad trying to sell, but there's another wide. Katakdand now has allowed 6 wides. And the extra gives him 70 for 2. Saw when Matthew Trump was bowling for the Metroplex Tracers in the game last night at Grand Prairie before Noah and all the animals showed up at the end. A rare 7-wide situation. The ball was wide. It was a wide ball. They ran 1, but it also hit the batter helmet, which was behind as Warner cuts it away to the offside. They'll take another single. 71 for 2. He goes to 14 off of 19. And in that situation, so sometimes they put the catcher will put the helmet back there, and when that happens, you know, they do it for ease. But if the ball hits it, it's a 5-run penalty. In this case, it was added to the wides because it was a wide ball. They ran 1. It went off the wicketkeeper's glove and then hit the helmet. As this one is driven down the ground by Mark Dayal, he'll take another run off the bat. 72 for 2. It's almost a Richie special. A Richie Beno special is 22 for 2. The famous Australian broadcaster, for those who don't know. Katakdand continues, driven by Warner, and through a couple of fielders all the way to the rope, and they won't win the race. Jordan Warner gets his 3rd boundary. Or check that, his 2nd, as he goes to 18. This has been a very, very straightforward innings. They haven't needed to do anything fancy, although tell that to Mark Dayal, who has brought out the reverse a couple of times, and then Nicholas Manohar, who got out on that as Jordan Warner pulls out. And so Katakdand has to stop his delivery. He puts his hand up saying sorry. Cut away by Warner, but the fielder is there. And again, that's Siddiqui, who does well to make the stop. 1 ball remaining in the 11th over. Atlanta, 37 required off of 55. Again, they are in very good shape to pick up their 3rd victory. And a shorter ball by Katakdand, and that will do it for him. He's bowled 3 overs at none for 23. He gives up 8 runs in that over, and Atlanta are well above the 4.1 runs required for victory. 11 gone, chasing 113. The Atlanta Lightning are 76 for 2. So we'll run through the schedule for tomorrow. At 10:30, the Atlanta Fire will play the East Fort Lauderdale Lions. This game here at the Orlando Cricket Ground. The Morrisville Raptors will play the Baltimore Royals at Church Street Park in Morrisville. That game will start at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. And then the final game of the day, I'll be behind the mic for that one, the Orlando Galaxy and the Atlanta Lightning. Galaxy still looking for their first win. That's a 2:30 p.m. start. There are numerous games going on in every other division except the East. The only 2 games in the East were yesterday. As Siddiqui continues and comes back in, he dribbles that into the ground, and in fact, he's been bowled. Another wicket for Siddiqui. That's his second. And he sends Mark Diallo on his way, and Siddiqui has had a hand in all 3 wickets. Rapperad jumped with joy, and the Atlanta Lightning, it ain't quite over, Red Rover. It's 76 for 3. And it looked like, as well, he may have gotten a piece of that, too, before it caromed into the stumps. And now Vivek Kanamurri, the Atlanta wicket keeper, will come into the crease at number 4. Vivek Kanamurri making his debut for Atlanta Lightning this season. Of course, now that we say that, we always double check and make sure they don't have multiple accounts. In fact, he does, and he played for Atlanta Fire as well. So this is the first with his new account. And Kanamurri, even though he was listed with the Atlanta Fire, let's see. Well, I guess this is this one too. How about this one? We played Atlanta Lightning in the he played in the under 21 tournament in May, and he had a 35, a 1, and a 27. But now he's playing for the big boys, and he cuts this one away. Does Vivek Kanamurri. This will go all the way to the rope. It will be stopped by Elton Tucker, who paddled it between his legs before he left the field of play. Good job from the young man. But Kanamurri is off the mark with a couple. So 78 for 3. As Mario Rapperad moves his field around. Siddiqui bowls again, pushed to the offside. This time it's 1 run, 79 for 3. Again, Atlanta's in good shape, and then you look at the guys on the bench. Kanamurri, who, I mean, clearly he's a good enough batter, but you look at they have Mark Parchment, who's been known to put up scores. Heath Richards, he's top scored at 30. He's good for about 9 runs. Soeb Towel, we'll figure that out as we get to it, as Warner plays defensively and guides it to the offside. Good dot ball by Siddiqui, who's bowling well. 2.4 overs, 2 for 19. Lengthier ball, and this time Warner drives it down the ground. Sleeper comes round to field it. 80 for 3. And at the end of the 12th, the par score is 60. Actually, the par score is 62. And at the end of the 12th, they were 66 for 2 were the Lions, as this one is in on the fists of Canna Murray, and he will retain the strike as they take another run. Siddiqui bowling well. His team is still hanging in there as best they can. Gives up 5, but takes a very important wicket. And at the end of 12, the Atlanta Lightning are 81 for 3. So 32 required off the final 48. And it will be Mishra who will come back with the ball from the southern end. Mishra's bowled well. 9 runs allowed off of 12 deliveries. 6 bowlers so far for the Lions, and he bowls to Canna Murray, who tries to drive through it, but right to a fielder as well, to the offside. And I don't think they took a run off of that. Or maybe they did. Well, they're saying it took a run. I don't think they did. And because that's still Canna Murray on the other side. So now, yep, they're fixing it now. So now they take a run, 82 for 3. They're going at 6.65, which is just over a run a ball, and the required rate is 4.04. So a run a ball will do it. And for the Lions, it's about kind of grinding them down into submission. But at some point, especially when somebody like Mark Parchment comes up, the fireworks will be at the ready as Warner opens up and hits this one down to deep mid-off. And another run peeled off the target. 83 for 3, 30 required for victory. So that if the Lightning win, they'll be one game behind the Fire, and the possibility if the Raptors can pick up a win over the Baltimore Royals tonight. That game starts in about 35 minutes up at Church Street Park. It'll be very helpful towards getting their noses into the top 2. Canna Murray will take a single here. And came awfully close to a second. Or no, I think that was the first. They came awfully close. I think Warner hesitated. I think that's exactly what happened. Warner hesitated as we saw the ball come back in. We thought that Canna Murray, that was going to be an easy signal. Canna Murray was running all the way, but Jordan Warner not so much. But a run all the same, 84 for 3, and now it's 29 required from 45. And I'm going to check the radar in a moment. I'll do that for you just to make sure we don't have any rain in the area. And a good ball towards the 5th stump region. And Canna Murray, the wicketkeeper himself, who's seen a lot of deliveries. Again, just kind of asking why that wasn't given as a wide. Final ball of the 13th over. And off the back foot goes Warner. And it goes back to the bowler with no further run and no further incident. 3 runs by Mishra, who has bowled extremely well. He's given up 12 in his 3 overs. 7 overs to go. Atlanta need 29 runs to win. They're 84 for 3. Well, I'm glad I looked at the radar because it's showing that all the storms that were south of Orlando are now really surrounding the ground at this point. And Atlanta, I don't think would be upset if the rains did come and either shortened or ended the game, because they are ahead of the Duckworth-Lewis-Stern par score, which is 68. So we'll keep an eye on that. It looks like some pretty gnarly storms as Siddiqui, and you can see the sky starting to darken here at the Orlando Cricket Ground. Siddiqui will come in to bowl out his spell, and he gives up a run to Canna Murray. And so the explanation is, of course, if they cannot finish this game, it's considered a completed game if both teams bat at least 5 overs, which has happened. Fort Lauderdale, of course, batting their regulation allotment of 20, and Atlanta now just over 13 overs. So what happens is that it's essentially a mathematical formula. Siddiqui bowls and Warner tries to defend. It comes down to resources, essentially. How many resources were available for the batting team versus how many available resources is Siddiqui again comes through, and Rapperad watching Warner's foot as he went forward. And so in this case, the Lightning, they only have so many wickets in hand as this one is driven away through the air. It's through and stopped in the deep nicely. So another single for Warner, who goes to 21, 86 for 3. We'll talk about it more in the break. We'll have a little bit more time. But the rains apparently are getting closer here in Orlando, and so is the wind, apparently. You can see the camera start to shake a little bit. One ball to come. And Siddiqui set to go. Final ball of the day for him. Yorker length ball turned off the hips by Vivek Canna Murray, and another run. And Siddiqui, a fine day for him with bat and ball. It may not yield a victory, but he has done well to go with his 28 with the bat. He finishes the day with the ball 2 for 24. 26 required off of 36 for victory for the Atlanta Lightning. They're 87 for 3. Now, just to explain, because it may come into effect, the DLS, or Duckworth-Lewis-Stern par score, essentially it's about the amount of resources that each team has. And by resources, we talk about the number of balls remaining and the number of balls available remaining and the number of wickets they have in hand. So the Lions, they've bowled out completely, and then the Atlanta Lightning, and this has been a quick turnaround, so I think they know that the weather is coming, and you can see the grounds crews start to scramble. Full toss by Warner, or by Mishra, and Warner hits it down the ground for 2. So 89 for 3. Or check that was 1, so it's 88 for 3. And again, no delay in between balls. Warner wanted a run, got halfway down the wicket, then looked up and saw that Canna Murray was not in agreement. So they won't take a run. Third ball of the over. Opening up is Warner. This time he does decide to swing and take a run. 89 for 3. Warner should be on 22. Canna Murray should be on 11. And actually they did take 2 off the first one, so it's 90 for 3. I'll get there eventually. 23 required off of 33. And still way ahead of the par score. So Atlanta closing in on victory number 3. Warner stands in from the right side. He's ready, and so is Mishra. In the air and over the rope. And the fans who have gathered here are watching something very special as Warner finally gets his first six, and it's the first six of the innings for the Lightning. And they're hoping that they'll finish this game before the real Lightning comes. 96 for 3. Warner goes again to the same spot. Did he get enough of it? I think it might have been caught. And it looks like it has. So Warner played 2 shots to the same place, but this time it is caught. And the Lions get a wicket, albeit maybe a little too late, as Southwick Padibandla makes the catch. Went off the bat at about the same exit angle, but a simple catch made by Padibandla. Mishra has a wicket in his penultimate ball of the day, and Jordan Warner, who played a very steady innings, 27 from 32, he has to go. Atlanta Lightning 96 for 4 with 1 ball left in the 15th over, and it is Mark Parchment. Mark Parchment, he has put up some large scores in the past. And he has 1 century, 111, and this is all prior to this season. 1,035 runs in those 44 matches. Final ball of the 15th over with a guy who is, as Rapperad says, hang on, we're not ready yet. He's making some quick changes. And now the ball to Parchment. Aerial ball, and it was in short. Parchment drops it down the ground for another run. 10 more runs given off by Mishra, who finishes the day with a wicket, 1 for 22. And Atlanta still in very good shape. They need 16 from the final 30 balls. They're 97 for 4. Mark Parchment, the Jamaican, vice captain of the team, of this Lightning side. Another guy who has played a lot of places all over the place for a number of different teams and different competitions. And he will face the first ball of the 16th over. The Lightning need 16 to win off the final 30. And the first ball that he plays is tipped into the ground. No run. As Canuck will come in to finish his spell. And looping this one down the ground is Parchment, and they'll get a run. 98 for 4. Atlanta 2 away from bringing up the 100, which Fort Lauderdale didn't do until the 19th over. And it's just another way of seeing how Atlanta has done it. This innings has been full of solid performances offensively. They could have gone, I think, about it in a way that would have been, could have ended it quickly, ended it a lot easier, would have hit the run rate. But they've really hadn't need to play any like foolishly or anything like that. And again, we say that in spite of the fact that Nicholas Monahar got out on a reverse sweep. Manik Patel was bowled very nicely by Siddiqui. As Canna Murray hits this one to third man. Another run. And one only. And unless they came back for a second. They did, and that brings up the 100. So 100 for 4. They need 13 now. And in on the hands for Canterbury. Big appeal. No, wide ball. There was an appeal there. It went behind. Let's see. It went behind, and Rapperad went up saying that he caught a snick, but he didn't. And a wide, so 12 now required from the last 28. How quickly do they want to get finished here as Canterbury turns us to the onside? They take one. And one only. 11 required. So we'll bring out the calculations and whatnot in just a moment. But it's Parchment now who faces with 2 to come here in the 16th. And he drives down the ground over the bowler's head and up against the sight screen. It's a 6 for Mark Parchment. He wants to end it quickly. And he takes a big bite out of what's left to win this game for the Atlanta Lightning. 6 more. 10 runs off of Catacon's over. And 1 still to come for the Atlanta Lightning, who look like they're going to go to 3-1. Final ball of the 16th over. That's Catacon, who's had a rough go of it today. And driven to the offside. Parchment had no desire to take a run. Canterbury came down a little bit and changed his mind when he saw his partner didn't. 10 runs off the over. Atlanta needs 5 to win. They're 108 for 4. And they have 24 balls to get the winning runs. So making the assumption that Atlanta will go on to win this game, they'll go to 3-1. And for the time being, they'll have 6 points. They'll be on second in points, and they'll be on, in terms of games behind the first place Atlanta Fire, they'll be on level pegging. The Royals have the better points percentage with a record of 2-0, but again, the Lightning sitting in second for now. The Royals set to take on the Morrisville Raptors in about 20 minutes' time, and we hope you'll join us for that, as well as all the games that are happening around the rest of the league. I know that Amin Patel and Nate Hayes will have the action for you. The captain comes in. He'll bowl for the first time as Connor Murray flays it away to the offside. There's 1 of the 5 required. As Ronak Sharma has brought himself into bowl. And he is the 7th man to take the ball. A boundary will win it for Mark Parchment. And frankly, I'd be surprised if he doesn't win it with a boundary in the next ball or two. He tried to drive it, but went with kind of like a golfing chip shot. Didn't get it past the crease on the other side, so no run. 109 for 4, 4 to win. And 22 balls. Delivered. And again, Parchment with probably about a 65% power drive. And Sharma fields it on his own. 3 balls to come. 4 to win. And there's an appeal. No. Umpire shakes his head. And Ronak Sharma not happy either. They come through for a single. And it did hit off of Parchment's bat. And for Ronak Sharma, who is about to see his team go to 0-4, hands on knees. And the left-hander, Katamuri, they need 3 to win. Aerial ball goes down on his knees with the sweep. They'll take a couple. They'll take 1 at the very least. And that's what they get. And now they need 2. And plenty of time to get it. So they'll go to 3-1. They'll have a matchup against the 0-4 Orlando Galaxy tomorrow. Sharma's delivery chipped in the air. They'll take a single, and the scores are level at 112. And that ends the over. I thought they had missed one. There was another dot ball in there somewhere. So Atlanta Lightning need 1 run to win. They have 18 balls to get it. They're 112 for 4. So the Lions will drop to 0-4. The Galaxy, who are much improved in spite of their 0-4 record, as we said, the Lightning will play the Galaxy tomorrow, and the Lions, well, they'll play the Atlanta Fire tomorrow. And the Fire, I don't know that there's really many teams, not only in this division, but really across the league that don't match up. That match up terribly well against them. Here we go. And that is a wide, and that is how this game is going to end. Well, it should, right? That should be it. If it's a wide ball, that would be 113, and that's what Parchment is asking. He's saying that's it, right? Yeah, that's it. That's how the game ends, with a wide ball by Paddy Bandla, who went for a duck earlier. And this one comes to an end with the Atlanta Lightning winners by 6 wickets, and it was a comfortable victory. Nicholas Mandahar, 37. Manik Patel put on 11 early, but it was Mandahar and Warner who combined to help pace things. Vivek Katamuri and Mark Parchment saw out the victory as they beat both the Fort Lauderdale Lions and the Weather, completing this game before the storm set in. The bowling for the Lions, well, infinity and beyond. That's because he bowled a ball, gave up a run without officially bowling a ball. Mohib Siddiqui, I think, was the player of the game for the Lions at the very least. 2 for 24, and he took a nice catch too and played extremely well on a bowling card that didn't look all that great. Your match summary: Ronak Sharma, 40 for 39. He was the top scorer of the game. We mentioned Siddiqui, 28 for 25, and then was the best bowler defensively. Dawood Azim, 2 for 19. Amila Aponzo took 2 for 29. Fani Samhadri and Sohaib Tai each took wickets. And Siddiqui bowled well, but Manohar, his 37, he went to the cookie jar perhaps one too many times. And perhaps if we can ask the production folks maybe to show the a table, well, perhaps when they if they put the game on here, but again, or they finish the game. But Atlanta, the Fire, as we said, on 8 points, leads the South Division. They lead it by a full game over both the Atlanta Lightning and the Baltimore Royals. And the Royals, as we say, are about to play in a couple of minutes' time. We have 2 more games coming to you tomorrow from the Orlando Cricket Ground, as the Atlanta Fire will play the here it is. Here is the points table. They'll give the Lightning the in just a moment. Thanks, fellas and ladies, as they move into second on 6 points now ahead of the Baltimore Royals, who dropped down to 4. The Morrisville Raptors on 2, and the Lions now 0-4. And along with the Galaxy. The Galaxy will play the Lightning tomorrow. That's a 2:30 start. The Fire and the Lions will get things underway here at 10:30. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us for both matches today, and we invite you to join us. Come back tomorrow when it will be more from the South Division in this 2025 Minor League Cricket Championship. Our thanks to everybody at the ground. Our thanks to everybody in the production truck in the Relay Shack in Parts Unknown, USA, and for everybody else who's brought to you today's matches. This is Brian Barish wishing you a pleasant good evening.